in a quiet little village, tucked away between tall green mountains, lived a young boy named Milo. He had no fancy toys, no fine clothes, and often went to bed with a rumbling tummy. But even though his pockets were empty, his heart was overflowing with dreams. Every day you could find Milo outside, a stick in his hand, drawing incredible pictures in the dirt. He drew smiling suns that seemed to radiate warmth, birds so detailed they looked ready to take flight, and rivers that sparkled in his imagination. His drawings were so lifelike that villagers would often stop, mesmerized, just to watch him create. One evening, as the sun dipped below the hills and the first stars began to twinkle in the vast dark sky, Milo remained outside, lost in his work. He was sketching a magnificent, bright bird, its wings spread wide. Suddenly, a gentle voice spoke from just behind him. "Milo," it said, "why do you draw when you have no paper or paints?" Milo turned to see an old woman wrapped in a silver robe that glimmered like the night sky itself. Her eyes held a kind and knowing sparkle. "Because drawing makes me happy," Milo answered softly. "Even if I have nothing, I can still create my dreams." The old woman smiled, a warm and understanding expression on her face. "You have a good heart. Here, take this gift." She held out a golden paintbrush, so brilliant it shone like a captured piece of sunlight. "This brush is magic," she explained. "Whatever you paint with it will spring to life. But remember, Milo, you must use it only to help others." Before Milo could even utter a word of thanks, she vanished like mist in the cool moonlight, leaving him holding the incredible gift. Milo stared at the brush, his heart pounding with a mix of disbelief and wonder. Magic. Could it really be? He cautiously dipped the tip into a small puddle of water and, with a hopeful hand, painted the bird he had just been drawing in the dirt. The very moment he added the final stroke, the painted bird flapped its newly formed wings and soared into the air, its beautiful song echoing through the quiet village. Milo gasped, his eyes wide. "It's real." Overjoyed and buzzing with excitement, he ran straight home. He found his mother, weary and hungry, and quickly painted a loaf of bread on the wooden table. Instantly, it became real warm, soft, and smelling heavenly. His mother cried tears of pure joy as they shared the miraculous meal. The next morning, Milo thought of the other children in the village. He painted shoes for those who had none, and soon the streets were filled with the happy sounds of dancing feet. Word of Milo's magic brush spread like wildfire. "Milo can make anything," the people exclaimed. He painted life-giving water for farmers whose fields were cracking under a terrible drought. He painted bountiful feasts for the poor and sturdy, warm houses for families who had lost their homes. The once quiet village transformed, becoming a vibrant and joyful place, filled with laughter and life, all thanks to Milo's kindness. But not everyone was happy about Milo's gift. Far away in a cold and opulent marble palace, a greedy king heard the stories. His eyes, which had grown dull from staring at his mountains of treasure, suddenly gleamed with avarice. A boy with a brush that brings gold and treasures to life. I must have it. He roared to his court. He immediately dispatched his soldiers with one command: capture Milo and bring him the magic brush. The soldiers found Milo in the center of his village, painting a garden for the community to share. Without a word, they grabbed him and dragged him away, all the way to the king's palace. When Milo was brought before the throne, he was stunned by the sight of endless piles of gold and jewels. Yet, despite all this wealth, the king's eyes were cold, empty, and consumed by an insatiable greed. "Paint me treasures," the king demanded, his voice echoing off the stone walls. "Paint gold, jewels, and a palace of diamonds just for me." Milo, holding his golden brush tightly, shook his head. "This brush is meant to help people, not to serve greed." The king's face turned a furious shade of red. "Do as I say, boy, or you'll be thrown in the dungeon and never see your home again." Milo knew he had no choice. With a heavy sigh, he dipped his brush and began to paint. He painted a massive mountain of gold, so bright and sparkling it momentarily blinded everyone in the grand hall. "More!" the king shouted, his eyes wide with delight. "Paint me a golden river, too." So Milo painted a river of shimmering, liquid gold. It wound its way through the hall, wide and shining beautifully. But Milo was clever. Secretly, he painted the river to flow faster and faster. Soon, the golden river was no longer a gentle stream. It became a rushing torrent, surging through the palace halls, covering the polished floors and rising higher and higher. The king, trying to scoop up the liquid gold, began to slip and slide. "Stop it! Help!" he screamed as his own treasure began to pull him under. Thinking quickly, Milo painted a sturdy wooden boat. He jumped inside and skillfully rode the powerful golden waves right out of the palace gates. The river carried him far, far away, all the way back to the safety of his beloved village, before it vanished completely, leaving the greedy king sputtering and shouting helplessly amidst his ruined, gold-soaked riches. From that day forward, Milo made a solemn promise to himself. He would only ever use the magic paintbrush for acts of true kindness. He painted strong bridges so travelers could cross dangerous rivers safely. He painted lush green trees in barren lands so birds could build their nests again. He painted vibrant gardens full of colorful flowers where children could laugh and play without a care in the world. Everywhere Milo went, he left a trail of happiness and beauty. The people no longer called him just Milo. They called him the boy who painted happiness. Years passed, and Milo grew into a kind and wise man. One evening, as the sun set in a blaze of orange and purple and the first stars began their nightly dance, the same old woman appeared before him once more, her smile as warm as ever. "Milo," she said, her voice filled with pride, "you have used your gift with a pure and selfless heart. Because of you, the world is a more beautiful place." She gently touched his golden brush. In an instant, it transformed into a brilliant beam of glowing light that shot straight up into the heavens, where it scattered into a million sparkling stars. And from that night on, whenever people looked up and saw the magical northern lights dancing across the sky in waves of green and blue, they would whisper to their children, "Look, that's Milo still, painting the world with kindness and color." And somewhere far beyond the stars, the boy with the magic brush smiled, knowing that his art, his kindness, and his magic lived on in every rainbow after a storm, in every genuine smile, and in every simple act of kindness shared between people. Because the story teaches us that true magic isn't in what you create, but in the kindness you share with the world. Thank you so much for joining me on this wonderful story. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more tales that warm the heart. See you next time.